This is a call to order for a Watchung Borough Board of Education meeting on Thursday, September 19th, 2024. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Laws of 1975, and that the advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung at which formal action may be taken. This meeting is being live streamed on the district website, where a recording of the meeting will also be posted. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda at points in the meeting provided for the public to address the board. Recording or photographing other than for personal private use requires the consent of parents/guardians whose children may be included in the image. Ms. Karen Bishop, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mrs. Agliaro? Here. Mrs. Amadeo?
Here.
Mr. Frage?
Here.
Mrs. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Ingracia is absent. Mrs. Jewett?
Here.
Mrs. Santos?
Here.
Dr. Vinces Kua?
Here.
And Mr. Gonzalez is currently absent.
All right, we're going to move on to presentations. We have a presentation from Legacy Construction Management from Connor O'Brien.
Good evening. I know it's been about 2.5 weeks, I think, or so, maybe 3 weeks since the last time. So just want to give a quick update with some of the progress that we've made and just get an update on some of the work that we still have ahead of us. So this projects that we're still with are the HVAC, the toilet room upgrades, the media center renovation, the front office renovations, as well as the security vestibule in the front. The existing HVAC continues to be operational with the fresh air and AC.
Can you talk into the mic?
What's that?
Walk into the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Hold it.
Is it better now? Okay. So the existing HVAC continues to be operational. The media center, we met the last meeting. We're pushing to have that ready for the 15th of September. We do have some delays, but we expect right now that to be turned over to the librarian at the end of the day, September 30th. The building and electrical, we had inspections today for the above ceiling, and both of those passed for the media center. They're up there right now closing up the ceiling, so we can continue moving forward with the floors. That will be finished being closed up by the end of the week. The flooring and the casework is going to be, casework's already upstairs, but the flooring will be delivered over the weekend and start over the weekend as well as starting Monday. Painting will also follow right behind, as well as doing the casework. So there's a lot of work to do in a small little area, but we fully expect that by the end of next week and turning over with it fully clean so the librarian can get in there, start loading the shelves with her books and everything else that she needs to do. The art room, we did make some adjustments, and those of today, I know possibly some people might go in there later. It is now at a comfortable setting, so that is able to be back and have a functioning classroom. We have also had a conference call with the district's controls vendors that does the BMS system, which Ricky controls every of the units. We're supposed to have that room on his system tomorrow, if everything goes well with their setup tomorrow morning. The HVAC project, as stated previously, we did have some delays, but those unit ventilators will start being installed on this upcoming Monday. We will start at a slow pace just to make sure that everything goes well. We have to take out those units, and we have to make sure it's up and running the next day, as there's no swing space for any classrooms. We do have contingency plans set up for a unit, but we hope to not use that. So we're going to do one for the first day, and that will ramp up to several units a night. It will be done only second shift or on the weekends. The weekends may have more than a few units, as we can work both the Saturday and Sunday to get additional units done. The next day, again, the class will be safe to hold class, and we will be making sure there's contingency plans put in place. Well, there you go. Also, in the next several weeks, there'll be coordination between Ricky, Legacy, H&S, which is the HVAC contractor, as we prepare for the heating season to make sure everything is in working order. As we did go in here this summer, the units were moved, so we have to make sure that's in working order. It is warm right now, but it has to be ready for October 15th by law, and we're going to make sure that's in place. Other project notes, we have communicated. We know there's already been one back to school. There's also several coming up next week. There'll be no work at those schools at those nights. It's already been coordinated with the principals as well as to the contractors. And Legacy, the on-site project manager, does go to that school before it starts to make sure nobody is there by mistake. As we go through the classrooms and work on second shift, there is communication with the principals, a minimum of 48 hours to let them know what classrooms we're going to be in, making sure that they are cleaned. There has been some adjustments, as it's been a ladder left in one of the rooms, but we made sure that moving forward, stuff like that doesn't happen, coordinating with Ricky and his team in the morning. There was also a separate project tied to the referendum, but the school took advantage of the PSE&G program to do 2 replacements of the rooftops here. We are scheduling with them to get it. They have all the parts. They have all the roof curbs that they needed. We just need to find a day that works when there's nobody here, because they have to crane 2 units up on the roof, and they have to crane the 2 existing units off the roof. So we're trying to find a day. We believe we did find a day which the school is closed, just waiting for confirmation back that they're available. And then these are just some of the photos. This is the new ductwork that's in the gym. That's here at Valley View. That's the casework, that's display case that's in the art room. This is upstairs in the media center. These are from, not current like right now, this is also from the last time we had meetings. A lot of the ceiling is up. That is a small soffit that has darker ceiling tiles. That's the room off to the side of the media center. That's just the shelving. In the corner, that's just a piece of duct that's not there anymore. That was just in the picture. That's a view from one of the sides of the media center. Again, not a current to what it is right as we stand here now, but that's just a progress photo from the last time. Just the opposite view picture. This is at Bayberry. Again, the ductwork being installed. This is at one of the bathrooms. This was a new heater that got installed in one of the bathrooms. And this is the ongoing with the exhaust fans, some of the roof work that had to get done. They're up there as well tonight, making sure it's all flashed in and there's no leaks around the new exhaust fans. Now, also, I know with the project there was some programs and some community programs that were tied, waiting on our work to be finished. So I will give it over to Dr. Glazer to give an update with some of those programs.
A little good news, right? We'll get there. It is all good news, even though we're still doing this work. We are in the buildings successfully, even though some is more delayed than we would like. Again, we are in our buildings successfully with, for the most part, little disruption. Unfortunately, Valley View is not going to have the media center for back to school night, and we won't have the display cases in the art room prepared for back to school night, right? But if that's the worst, I'm okay. We have talked a lot about the gym and the work in the gym. We were a little concerned recently, no problem again with instruction or during the school day, but some of the other things that need to happen in there, floors, painting, ductwork, and I am excited to say that I have gotten confirmation that they will complete that, even maybe a little before the schedule they gave us. We will see our first facility use forms. I know you've probably been missing that, but our first facility use forms will have the volleyball program starting, I think it's October 21st, which is very exciting. I believe basketball starts November 11th, also very exciting. We have the reinstall of the adventure course that WEF so generously donated the week of November 22nd, and we are hoping to do a ceremony to reintroduce that to the community that week before Thanksgiving. So that is all exciting news. And just an add to, what Connor talked about starting the HVAC units. You know that we had a significant delay in the delivery in June. I don't know if those last 6 units got here today. They were supposed to. But except for those 6 units, I can confirm that everything made it here and is ready to have the mechanicals put in, and they're starting Monday, right, at Bayberry to start to install that. So also good news. You know me, I always want to start and end with the good news. Thanks, Connor. I know you can hear us. You can hear it in our voices. We're here every day. We're here late and early. But it's coming together, and you should be very, very proud of what it looks like. It's hard from Connor's pictures, but I know some of you have come for the committee meetings through the main offices and the secure entrances. It really is coming along and looking beautiful. And we're hopeful to invite the full community in before the winter break, so that they can share some of that excitement.
Any questions?
I was just wondering when, have any idea like when the HVAC system they'll all be in?
So part of the HVAC project was the chillers. That was always longer out because of how long that lead time was. And I believe I mentioned in one of the meetings, but it's also in the contract schedule, that final chillers weren't coming until almost springtime. We did get them procured sooner. The contractor has them available sooner, but we got to schedule that because those are big units. So those have to be coordinated properly. So that's the longest thing. And then, as I said, we're going to start with one UV to make sure it goes in and out without a hiccup. And then we'll ramp up the production on that to get them in. But I have to make sure the schools, there's no room. So I have to make sure we don't do too much and then I cause an issue and then, we don't have the chance to take.
I'm thinking like the end of October.
No.
End of September, that some of them will be in and running.
Yeah, we're starting Monday. Yeah, Monday.
You said that.
Yeah, Monday is going to be the first one that goes in. As I stand here, I don't think we're going to run into an issue doing the one, but we have to make sure. We have to take it slow. There's electrical work that gets done with it, plumbing work, all in the same night, control work. There's multiple trades, and then we got to get the unit out. So there's a lot to be done.
Have heat by the time it gets cold.
No, they'll have the, like I said, we're going to test the heat system. There's valves put in place so we can isolate just that single unit that we're taking out. So the heat will be up to the unit. Once they reconnect it, they'll open up the valves and the heat will be right in it. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. That's me. You ready for me?
Now we're going to move on to the student safety data reporting for the 2023-2024 school year. Ms. Glazer?
Yep. So, you see on the agenda, it's called the Student Safety Report. We are required every year to present this from last school year. And what this report details, it's a report that goes to the state. It's incidences of violence, vandalism, substance abuse, weapons, and confirmed HIVs. Violence is defined as assault, fighting, kidnapping, robbery, extortion, sexual assault, sexual contact, simple and criminal threats. Vandalism is defined as arson, computer trespass, damage to property, false public alarm, theft and trespassing. As you'll note, you don't see any of those except for the confirmed HIBs. There were no confirmed HIBs or incidences as defined in the administrative code at Bayberry. However, there were 2 incidences that required students to be removed. And by removed, that could be suspension, expulsion, any of those serious consequences. And that is reported to the state also. They do monitor that. And there are even rules for how often students can be suspended or expelled. At Valley View, there were 3 incidences and 3 confirmed HIBs, again, as defined. However, 7 incidences that required students being removed. And I just want everybody to understand that the number of incidences, I think you can see that clearly, differs from the total number because sometimes you have multiple offenses that are selected in the report for the same occurrence. Okay, so that's why those are different. As a follow-up to this report, both buildings now get to, I know you don't believe that, but get to engage in an HIB self-assessment. It's an online program that the schools use to make sure their efforts to implement the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights is in place. It gives us the opportunity as a district to reinforce and strengthen our HIB prevention and intervention programs. You'll hear a little bit later during the policy committee report. We also use it to review our policies and practices. That's the basis of the HIB grades that you see on the district website and what Mrs. Datota, who is our anti-bullying coordinator, reports on twice a year. So that's what you see on our agenda. Questions about what that is, or?
When's the next report from Ms. Datota?
So after this report comes the HIB self-assessment. I honestly don't know what the deadline is to complete that. The state tells us when we report. It is twice a year. Could be, I don't think it's the October board meeting, though. I think it's maybe November or December, and then for sure May or June is always the other one, because we get our HIB grades back. Other questions? I think you're up to enrollment, right? Even though we haven't had enrollment on the agenda every month because it doesn't change and there's nothing to report, we felt like here at the beginning of the school year, you might be interested to know how many kids at each grade level. As you can see, our enrollment does still remain stable. We are up 4 students overall. And again, you can see by grade level where we're at. Kindergarten in that, for those same numbers, right? 56 last year and 72 this year. Obviously, class sizes haven't grown by 10 kids. You have extra section. And everywhere else you can see where those sections have moved. At Valley View, I know before I came, we talked about changes in enrollment, but again, you can see that that's very stable as you hit the 5th through 8th grades, and of course our out-of-district placements. And Denise is here too for her report, so if you have any questions on the enrollment, at least for Bayberry or for me overall. I see it, Danielle.
This is potentially a conversation we could take offline. I'm just curious to know about preschool enrollment and what the difference is between actual admitted versus the interest. But that's perhaps numbers.
Well, and I just will answer it generally, and I do think it's perhaps a larger conversation.
Yeah.
but you can see it's stable because we only have 2 classroom spaces. We have a lot more interest, right, than this number of students. Our preschool is an integrated preschool program, meaning it is a special education program, and then similar peers, right, are able to pay tuition to fill the rest of the seats. We have a lot more interest than seats, and unless we don't have classrooms, right? So if you're following in the state over the last couple years, there are opportunities to expand preschool programs. In the conversations that I've had in the year that I'm here, it hasn't been something that people want to pursue because they want their kids in the same school, right? At Bayberry, we don't have space at Bayberry. The options for expanding would be to partner with the existing private preschools, would be to rent space, right, where there are classrooms that we could use, and that has not been not been well received when it's been brought up. So, long answer, but definitely more interest than spots. That gets you for now? Were you for now?
For now.
Okay. We're up to
Executive session. Okay, at this time, we're going to go into executive session. The Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-11, permits the Board of Education to meet in a closed session to discuss certain matters. Now, therefore, be it matter rendering confidential by federal or state law student matters, pending or anticipated litigation or contract negotiations and/or matters of attorney-client privileges specific, prospective or current employees, unless all who could be affected request an open session.
Second.
We'll be back.
Yeah, I heard a second.
We're going to move on to superintendent remarks.
I am going to start off, but then we're going to hear from Denise. The first thing on the agenda is our retirees. We have 3 retirees on the agenda tonight. We want to wish them much congratulations and best wishes for a happy, healthy, enjoyable retirement. Cindy Scalera has been employed since 2021 as a district school instructional resource aide, but she's been with the district for 12 years. Her students and co-teachers will miss her, and we'll miss her also when she leaves us right after Halloween. Kathy DeFranco has been employed since 1999, first as a Bayberry elementary school instructional aide, then as the secretary at Bayberry and now Valley View. We have been grateful she was able to start her career in Watchung and stay with us through her whole career. Kathy's commitment to the students and family and community will be missed when she leaves us after Thanksgiving. And finally tonight, Martha Riley. Martha's been employed since 2012 with us as a music teacher at Bayberry, and in that time she has left an indelible mark on grade levels of students. They have fond memories of playing the recorder, lots of concerts and plays. Martha is going to be with us for the remainder of the school year, and of course she will be missed greatly when she begins her retirement in July. Excuse me. Ms. Victor, principal's report. Hold on, I have water. I know I have water.
All right, good evening, everyone. Denise Fickner, Bayberry Principal. I have a pretty short update here. So we are off to a strong start with a variety of academic and social emotional activities at both schools. At Bayberry, we held our first all-school meeting on September 9th. We all gathered in the APR. We chanted our school cheer, went over school rules, and sang a song on being a learner. We were getting ready for our iReady diagnostic. Students were encouraged to be more awesome, which is kind of our theme this year. Say it every day on the announcements. And I explained to them what this means, is that every day we should all be working hard to learn and get better at something each day. Valley View will show their school spirit with a Mountaineer Monday pep rally on Monday the 23rd. Last night was back to school night for our second, third, and fourth graders at Bayberry, and it was a huge success. Next Wednesday, September 25th, is back to school night for preschool, kindergarten, and first grade. Valley View's back to school nights are held next week as well, September 24th for grades 5 and 6, and September 26th for grades 7 and 8. Students at Valley View had Picture Day yesterday, and Bayberry Picture Days are next Thursday and Friday. I'll send a reminder out. Order forms also were sent home this week. We sent them home. Students in grades K to 8 have been working hard on completing their iReady diagnostic assessment in reading and math. Once completed, students will be assigned an individualized learning path, and teachers will utilize the data to plan for instruction. On Monday, September 30th, we will have a Title I and multilingual learner parent meeting at 6:30 in the Bayberry Media Center. We hope to see you there. That's it.
I'll be there. Okay. Thank you, and thank you for staying with us, Ms. Fickner. See you tomorrow.
That's long. Okay.
Sorry, Connor was asking a question. I wanted to make sure I could answer him. Karen, Business Administrator report.
Okay, business office is business as usual. Opening up the school year, that entails writing many purchase orders, encumbering a lot of money, and also paying the bills for July and August. That's what we're doing now, paying actually July, August, and September all at one time, because our systems, I know, I think I said this a couple weeks ago, June is the longest month of the year. It's our year end. We keep it open for a solid month and a half after the date. So now we're scrambling to pay July bills, August bills, and September bills all at once. So that's pretty much what we're doing. We are also getting ready for our annual audit, which will be taking place the week of October 14th. So we're starting to prepare documents and all the things one has to do to prepare for an audit.
Sounds like fun.
Oh, thank you. So you heard a bit from Ms. Fickner. Indeed, we have had a strong start to the school year at both Bayberry and Valley View. In addition to the back-to-school nights, we look forward to seeing you, I promised, at the PTO Food Festival next Friday, September 27th. From 4 to 7:30, I think. They have, it sounds like wonderful trucks. We have the flyer on our community page. It's on your PTO page. Come out and support. Should be a lot of fun. Transportation, also a strong start, very different from last year, thank goodness. In the first weeks of school, we've been able to address individual concerns and have been able to make some routing changes early on for safety. We are also grateful to the mayor and the borough for committing to clear grass and shrubs at some of the stops to make for a safer space for people to stand and clearer sightlines for drivers. Our new K-12 transportation coordinator, Kelly Sheehan, has hit the ground running in these first 3 weeks, and she's only been here 3 weeks, but I know the feeling, probably seems like forever. She has been running the routes to address concerns. She's been working with both bus companies to make these initial changes, and now she's working to actually follow the routes in our Zonar system. I think you remember we can actually see in real time the buses. So she is using that Zonar system with the new routes to refine the timing. And we expect that realistic morning and afternoon times are the next changes you'll see in Genesis. You will receive a message well in advance of any changes. We hear you. If you can hear me, we heard you. I also just want to share, and this is sad news, so changing a little bit in tone. Our initial consultant, Mr. Jerry Ford, who many of you met and spoke with, who you also heard speak at our town halls, in just the past couple weeks has died suddenly, and we want to offer our condolences to his family and his colleagues. It was a big shock to everybody. On the agenda tonight, I need to call your attention to a date change on the district calendar. The county has alerted us that even though Eid is celebrated over several days, the official observances seem to be pretty consistently locally Monday, March 31st. So we will approve that change and also have the observance here in the district on Monday, March 31st. We will be closed for students on that day, and of course, any staff members that observe and celebrate and would like to take that day. We will be putting out our information on no homework, no assessment evenings and days, along with our calendar after we reapprove it tonight. Here.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to committee reports, personnel. Mr. Fraiche?
Actually, I think Jen has it.
No.
But
So
I gave you the public ones.
Okay.
Do you want?
So she, okay.
Do you? I mean, I can. I'll read it. No worries. The Personnel Committee met on Thursday, September 12th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. In attendance were myself, Mohammed Frage, Anthony Ingracia, and Jennifer Vincescua, and Dr. Glazer. So we discussed the expedited certificates that the county thankfully helped us to get. So big thank you to them because I did it super fast. We also discussed the approval of before and after care staff, the approval of the pursuit of excellence, the approval of mentors. Mentors are people who receive training to provide mentorship for provisional staff. That plan is also on the agenda for approval. We also are approving on the agenda for approval is extracurricular positions, and they are posted by interest and need. And then the 3 retirements, which were all just read. And that's all.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to curriculum. Ms. Jouett?
Okay. This was Thursday, September 12th, from 4 o'clock to 5:30. I was there, Phyllis Jouett, Dory Harvey was there, Fatima Santos came in virtually, Mohammed, our vice president, came in virtually also. Administration and guests were Dr. Glazer was there, Denise Fickner, Bayberry principal, came in virtually, Nicole DeToda, director of special services, was virtual, and Karen Kidd was there from Valley View. Items from the administration. Principals Kidd and Fickner updated the committee regarding the progress of curriculum development that occurred over the summer. At Valley View, the physical education curriculum was completed according to state requirements. The health curriculum for 7th and 8th grade was flipped. 7th grade will be doing general goal setting, and 8th grade will focus on diseases. The reasonings for this is that the 8th graders will be going to high school and should be made aware of transmittable diseases. Parents will be receiving a letter prior to when the comprehensive health curriculum units will be studied. Lifeline awareness has been added to the 7th grade health curriculum, which focuses on suicide awareness. Students will learn what signs to watch for in suicide prevention. The 5th grade science curriculum has been updated with more to be added. Whatever was eliminated will be taught in the upper grades. This will allow the 5th graders to concentrate on topics more in depth. In English language arts, all standards were updated. Narrative writing has been added to the curriculum. Social studies was rewritten a few years ago, and textbooks were purchased. The 5th grade math curriculum separated the data and measurement domains to allow for greater understanding in each area. Outdated standards were removed, the focus being on accuracy and efficiency. In grades K to 5, old standards were replaced with new ones. 5th grade math students will be changing classes for math. This is not by leveled or homogeneous grouping. It's a different way of moving the students around. It evens out the amount of students in each math class, gets them up and moving, and allows them to interact with friends from different classes. All special needs will be met. Language arts at Bayberry will include more explicit phonics and vocabulary to be taught. Vocabulary building will be shared with Valley View. Old standards were removed, and new skills were added to align with the new. All curriculum documents are available on the district website. Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to policy. Ms. Harvey?
Sure. We met on Wednesday, September 11th. We met from 4 p.m. to about 5:30. It was virtual. Those in attendance were the superintendent, board president, myself, Mrs. Amadeo, and Mrs. Jouet. We reviewed some proposed policies. We went over again the harassment, intimidation, and bullying that was readopted in April 2024. The superintendent reviewed the policy with the committee. All the consequences for an affirmed HIB are listed in the policy. Not all consequences are only disciplinary. Some consequences will include counseling, reflection, social justice, etc. The superintendent went through the HIB investigation process and explained the difference between a HIB and a student code of conduct violation. The committee discussed some consequences such as seat changes, since it is difficult to always separate students due to our small school size. And the committee also suggested possible consequences to be shared with the administration. For parents to understand the potential consequences to a substantiated HIB, they should read the policy the district follows and understand that there are more consequences to each HIB other than lunch detention and counseling. The superintendent has recommended that the staff in both schools focus on lessons and, where applicable, around empathy, kindness, and bullying. Dr. Glazer will encourage more of this discussion to take place during Mountaineer Mondays in Valley View, at Bayberry, and with our resource officer. HIB will also be a topic for a proposed parent series of discussions. The committee thought these were good suggestions. We did get a follow-up on policy 3261, which is dress and grooming. The superintendent gave an update, but the policy is still being worked on, along with honoring student achievement, which is policy 5440. And then the administration is still working on use of school facilities, which is policy 7510. Potential board agenda items, everything that was on there, no one discussed any feedback from anyone, and the committee didn't have any feedback as well. So those are on the agenda. And then we did discuss the district calendar, but that was reported already, so I'm not gonna go over that again. Under new business, we went over an election change. the superintendent was asked by the Watchung Hills Regional High School if our committee was interested in pursuing a change in the election time for board members from November to April. The committee stated we were interested in finding out more as the situation develops with the high school and the other sending school districts. A report developed by Warren Township was shared, and they have decided to move their elections to April. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, operations, Dr. Vincescu?
Other Jen.
Oh, okay. Other Jen.
The Operations Finance Committee met on Tuesday, September 10th at 6:45. It was both virtual and in person. The meeting ended at 9:07 with Manny leaving at 9 p.m. In attendance was Mohammed Frage, the chair, myself, Dory Harvey, and the BOE president, Manuel Gonzalez. Guests were Dr. Julie Glazer, Karen Bishop Johnson, Ricky Boyd, Frank Bowlby, Connor O'Brien, and Ernie Turner. We had an update on the referendum from Ricky and Connor from Legacy, who you heard from tonight, and Frank, our architect from DRG. I won't go over it again because we just heard from Connor. We also had an update on transportation from Dr. Glazer. She reviewed the work that was started last spring and began to resolve many of the issues that were identified during the last school year. She has also updated us today. From the business office, the special services out-of-district transportation contracts, we're still getting routes, so they're not on the, may not be on the agenda. The third-party administrator needed for some expired financial plan documents. A third-party administrator is needed for compliance considerations, but we're going to move this to next month's agenda. The parent transportation contract payments were close to our aid in lieu amount for the year 2025. Special services settlement agreement was settled with Watchung Hills Regional High School with no cost to us, and we discussed board travel and hotels for our workshop. Potential board items were payment of bills, transfers and financial reports. The new business was the district calendar and the election times. And our RFP for strategic planning went out. The opening bid will be October 1st, and we expect there to be a large range. And that's it.
Okay, just a quick update on the ad hoc negotiations. Myself, Mr. Frage, Ms. Agugliara, and Ms. Amadeo was not present at the training, right?
Virtually.
She was.
Oh, virtually, right. So she wasn't. But we went through the training, and that's all I wanted to report. Okay, now we're going to go on to board liaisons report. Mr. Frage?
There is no update at this time.
Okay. Somerset County Education's liaison, Ms. Harvey?
We haven't had a meeting yet, so.
Okay. Somerset County Board of Association liaison, Ms. Amadeo?
Nothing to report.
Okay. School Boards Association, Ms. Agugliaro?
Just that the next meeting is October 10th, and it is hybrid at the Somerset Votech School. And I believe the topic is AI.
Okay. Regionalization, Mr. Frage?
No update. No update at this
We
time.
haven't had one. Okay. And then MUJC.
So I don't know if you know this, but by virtue of my position, I am also on the board of the Morris Union Jointure Commission. And we work with them in a number of shared services. So I do attend their board meetings, and I am going to start having a report for you. So at our most recent board meeting, Principal Carl Bird, the principal at the DLC in Warren, talked about what they were doing to expand access to the climate change content resources that have been mandated by the state, curricular changes. They are doing a lot of things with cross-content, and some of the things that we have started to talk about, so it was very interesting to me. They have a garden at the DLC, and they're looking to expand that garden. At their New Providence site, they were able to get a grant from the Department of Education in ways to respond to climate change. It was actually a resilience grant, which I found really interesting, and it is resilience to food scarcity. They are using what the students grow in the garden to donate to the food pantry in Summit as part of that grant. It sounded amazing. They're also enhancing their greenhouse focus. They have a greenhouse, so they're using this grant to focus again on scarcity, but this time water scarcity. Again, I thought it was really interesting, and they are partnering with a group called the Great Swamp Greenhouse that I reached out to because I didn't know anything about them. And the next phase for them is expanding their garden to include a sensory garden, which the idea of that, to see everybody's mouths excited, I'm excited. I also was really interested, you know, we think about outdoor classrooms, we've talked about gardens and expanding that. He talked a lot about the focus on the transferable skills, the career readiness involved with these projects. They have in their outdoor learning space something called the Wildcat Cafe that exists in the summer. They want to make that a 12-month space. They want to make the learning opportunities meaningful. And I really felt like we could get some wonderful ideas and take a lesson from what they're doing. I loved all the partnerships, so happy to share that with you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing that we don't have any community members here for PTO, WEF, or CPAG, we're going to skip to comments from the public. Should I read it even though nobody's here?
Got to.
Okay. We welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during the meeting when the public is invited to speak. The first opportunity to comment on agenda items only is now. The second opportunity for the public comment is towards the end of the meeting. Total allotted time is 30 minutes. Before you make your comment, please state your name, municipality, and residence. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 30 minutes, the presiding officer may limit the statement made by participant to 3 minutes duration. Our public forums are not structured as a question and answer session, but rather offered as opportunities to share input with the board. In instances where the board feels response is needed, the presiding officer or superintendent will address the comments. The New Jersey statute do not permit the board to discuss personnel or hiring in public sessions. Name of student should not be used. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of legal rights of those affected and identified in their comments, and be aware that they are personally legally responsible with potential liability for comments that they make to the board. The board shall not be held liable for comments made by members of the public. Okay, we're going to move on to action items. Mr. Fresh, can you please move action items A, administrative?
Make a motion to move administrative items 1, approve minutes of previous meeting, 2, affirm the superintendent's HIB report, 3, approval of professional development plan, 4, approval of mentoring plan, and 5, approval of revised 2024-2025 school calendar.
Ms. Bishop Johnson, can I have a roll call, please?
Second.
Second.
No, second.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Ms. Bishop Johnson, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Amadeo,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey,
Yes, but I have to abstain from number 2.
Mrs. Jewett,
Yes.
Mrs. Santos,
Yes.
Dr. Vinces Kua,
Yes.
Mr. Frage,
Yes.
Mrs. Agliaro,
Yes, but I'm abstaining from item number 2.
and Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Fatima, can you please move personnel?
Approve before aftercare staff, approve mentors, approve extracurricular positions, approve student teaching, approve WHRHS student volunteers aftercare program, approve appointment non-certificated staff.
Second.
Any discussion? No? Roll call, please.
Okay, somebody's computer on here.
It's Hans watching football.
Oh, sorry.
Mrs. Agliaro,
Yes.
Mr. Frage,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Jewett,
Yes.
Dr. Vinces Kua,
Yes.
Mrs. Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mrs. Amadeo?
Yes.
Motion passes.
DeVincis Cook, can you move operations and finance, please?
I make a motion to move the items under Operations and Finance. Number 1, approve payment of bills. Number 2, the transfer of funds 2024 to 2025. Number 3, financial reports. Number 4, professional development, school business and related expenses. Number 5, final payment of accumulated benefits. Number 6, Chromebook purchase financing. Number 7, payment application for Bayberry and Valley View HVAC upgrades. Number 8, approved payment application for toilet room renovations at the Bayberry Elementary School. Number 9, payment application for educational alterations at Valley View School. Number 10, parental contracts for student transportation. Number 11, approval to put a temporary fence on Grant Field. Number 12, 2023 to 2024 extraordinary aid, revised dates.
Second.
I just have a question. So my name is in here on the section for the NJSBA workshop for reimbursement, but I'm not taking any reimbursement, so it doesn't matter. My name's
Board
still.
is, yeah,
Okay.
the whole board is registered.
Okay. So any other discussion?
To vote on that? Are we able to vote on that?
Spending money on ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, it's the board, right? So you kind of have to.
Okay. All right, roll call, please.
It's the whole thing. Okay. Okay, Mrs. Amadeo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Santos?
Yes.
Dr. Vinces Kua?
Yes?
Mrs. Jewett?
Yes.
Mr. Frage?
Yes.
Mrs. Agliaro?
Yes.
And Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
All right. And Ms. Chouette, can you please move D, curriculum?
Yes. Adopt revised curriculum, number 1.
Second.
That's all.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Agliaro?
Yes.
Mr. Frage?
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Santos?
Yes.
Mrs. Amadeo?
Yes.
Dr. Vinces Kua?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Ms. Amadeo, can you please move policy?
Yep. I move policy items 1, first reading, which there are no items listed. Not sure if we have to actually vote on that. Number 2, items for second reading. And that is it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes. Why do we have number 1 on there if we're not voting on anything?
There, the format of the agenda, just, there isn't anything to vote.
Exactly. So why are we even voting on 1?
We're just
You're not
Point of
voting on-
order to remove 1.
There you go.
Okay. So do we vote on that separately?
We vote on that first, and then I think we go back and vote
Yep.
on just number 2.
Okay, so I make a motion to remove item 1 from the policy listing.
Second.
There's nothing.
Any further discussion?
Okay.
Wait, don't we have to, because there's already a motion on the floor before Danielle said anything, don't we have to vote on that and then she can
So we're
make the
gonna do-
motion and then we do it again?
So we'll do a roll call on that, on the motion, and then we'll do,
Then we're voting on both items.
I
I
guess,
think we probably have to vote no for the first one because we don't want to vote for something that there's nothing there. And then she's going to make a motion for us just to vote on the second
Okay.
only.
okay,
Okay.
roll call.
There you go.
So wait, what are we voting on now?
We're going to
voting
vote no
on
for the first one
1
collectively. 'cause
and
it's done.
2 currently.
And then 2 will
we're voting.
vote whatever we want to vote.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll figure out how to set this up. Okay, so we're going to vote.
On the
I'll
first
do the roll
motion.
call on item 1.
No, she made,
made a motion
Danielle
on
made
item
a
1 and 2.
motion for both 1 and 2 that was seconded by, buddy? Who
By
was
me.
it seconded? By Mo. So we have to vote on that.
So we shouldn't have seconded. That's what-
Would have died on the table.
Voted on.
And they're going to vote.
So wait, we're voting on the amendment first?
No.
We're going to do a roll call.
We're
I
doing
think
the
you have to
roll
vote on
call.
the amendment first.
No, because we already made the
We're
motion.
going to make a second motion.
Yeah, there was a motion on the table and it was seconded, so we have to vote on that one first.
Because it was seconded, okay.
Right, so we need to vote that down. I don't mean to tell everybody how to vote, but we have to vote that down, and then we can make the amendment. She can make a motion, and then we can vote
Got
it.
it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do a roll call
call.
on that.
Mrs. Igliaro?
No.
That's right. They're all
I
going
was
to.
supposed to.
Okay, got it. Mrs. Amadeo?
No.
Mr. Frage?
No.
Mr. Gonzalez?
No.
Mrs. Harvey?
No.
Mrs. Jewett?
No.
Mrs. Santos?
No.
Dr. Vinces Kua?
No.
The motion did not pass.
I motion to make an amendment to this, dropping item 1 from this policy listing. Is that a good enough way to say that?
Second.
Second.
Okay,
Now we vote on that.
we'll vote on that. Roll call on that, please.
Okay, Mrs.
Any
Igliaro?
discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. Amadeo?
Yes.
Mr. Frage?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Santos?
Yes.
Dr. Vinces Kua?
Yes.
The motion passes.
I motion a single policy item, second reading.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Igliaro?
Yes.
Mrs. Amadeo?
Yes.
Mr. Frage?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
C.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Santos?
Yes.
And Dr. Vinces Kua?
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right.
Like,
Okay,
I feel
now-
like complication.
That was interesting. Okay, now we're going to move on to board business. This is nothing new. This is a revote. Per our council, the parties involved should have abstained. This is a resolution authorizing filing of charges with the School Ethics Commission, whereas the board is responsible for protecting and maintaining the integrity of its operations, and whereas the board has an obligation to ensure that the Watchung School Board District is well run, and whereas the board recently was made aware of alleged actions and statements by board member Mr. Negracia, and petition filed by Mr. Negracia with the Commissioner of the Education that the potential jeopardized the operations of the board, and whereas the School Ethics Act was enacted to ensure the preserve public confidence in the integrity of elected and appointed school board members and school administrations, NJAC 6A 28-1.1. And whereas the School Ethics Act further provides the board members must support and protect the school personnel in proper performance of their duties, and board members are prohibited for taking private action that they may compromise the board, NJSA 18A:12-24.1. And whereas the alleged actions and statements by board members, Mr. Negracia, if proven true, may violate the School Ethics Act and Code of Ethics for school board members. And whereas the board cannot and would not make an ultimate decision as a guilt or innocence, but recognizes the appropriate place for such determination is a School Ethics Commission, which can weigh the relevant evidence and testimony. And whereas the board takes the alleged conduct seriously, which it hopes to have addressed in an appropriate forum to allow the board to focus on the district business, while maintaining the confidence of its employees and the public. Now, therefore, be it resolved, this board empowers directs the board president to file an appropriate complaint with the School Ethics Commission with regards to alleged violations of the School Ethics Act and/or Code of Ethics for school board members, with assistance of the board's special counsel. And be it further resolved that the board directs and empowers the board president to file this action with regret to such actions as necessary, but believes it is left with no other alternative in order to have this matter reviewed and concluded while maintaining the public's confidence in the board.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we clarify one more time, just that this motion, this entire motion is exactly the same as the one that was done several months back? Nothing has changed in terms of what has been filed. We simply need to revote because of your need to abstain, because of case law.
Correct.
I don't know if you want to add anything additional, but
No, it's just because of the members involved in this party per our council, we should abstain.
right.
Any further discussion? No? Ms. Bishop Johnson, can we please have a roll call?
Yes. Mrs. Amadeo,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Santos,
Yes.
Mrs. Jewett,
No.
Dr. Vinces Kua,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Abstain.
Mr. Frage,
Yes.
and Mrs. Igliaro.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, now we're going to move on to comments from the public. And seeing that there's no members of the public, oh, never mind.
Hans Jew at Elsinore Drive. Regarding your last action, I'm not clear on any of the items that you spoke about where there's an ethics violation. Can you elaborate on what the actual violation is? Degrading the school, it has to be something done to do that, and to not have confidence. Something needs to be done not to have confidence. That is not an ethics problem. What is the actual charge that would warrant an ethical investigation?
We have no comment to provide at this
You
time.
have no comment. Well, let me just say, this board is a disgrace. And I hope the media picks this up. We know what the reason was, why the ethics charges, why this is dragged on so long. It's to try to intimidate Mr. Ingrazia. And the only thing that I hope that he does, that he actually lodges legal action against the board here in Watchung, and I would be more than happy to contribute to his legal defense. I am ashamed to say that. I've lived here for 50 years.
Okay, now we're going to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm sorry, who seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.